Hi everyone, welcome to CAT Simple and Easy Grammar Part 2. So, this grammar, as I said yesterday, is also a part of, pardon, I think I'm online. So, hi everyone, this is Shalinee, and today I'm going to teach you CAT and MBA entrances Simple and Easy Grammar Part 2. So, it is a continuation of yesterday's session. I am not sure how many of you had attended yesterday's session and how many of you did not. To recap, I had started with nouns, parts of speech, and a couple of practice questions. The questions were pretty simple initially, they were just to set the context right about grammar. Followed by that was what are the parts of speech. To revise, parts of speech are the basic building blocks of grammar. In grammar, syntactically and semantically similar words are grouped into what we call as parts of speech, and there are eight parts of speech, as I had already said yesterday: nouns, pronouns, verbs, adverbs, prepositions, conjunctions, and interjection. Out of which, interjection is something which is not very relevant. Noun are the name of places, things, and person. Prepositions are the words that relate one noun to the other. Conjunction are that join words or sentences with one another. Interjections express sudden feelings. Adjective are those that qualify the noun or specify the noun. And verb is an action or a state of being. And also adverbs, which is the last one, is the word that qualifies a verb. So, having said that, we also practiced a couple of questions. We saw what were the type of questions that have appeared so far in couple of entrance examinations. To reiterate, grammar has not appeared in CAT since couple of years, but it is an important part of SNAT, ZAT, IIFT, ISNET, etc. Hence, it is important to learn grammar because all exams should be given equal importance. Trust me, I would not want anyone else to suffer like I personally did. It's from a personal experience that I'm requesting that every exam should be taken seriously and English or the verbal section should be paid due importance because I know a lot of people consider it to be not that important, easy, or intuition based, but that is not the case. Grammar in itself has a lot to know, lot to learn because although it is governed by some rules, there are a lot of things that have been coming in from the past just by the sake of practice, and also there exist many rules, many exceptions to the rules that are stated in English grammar. So we saw that there are different types of questions. First, identifying which are the nouns, which are pronouns, and other parts of speech. Then we had fill in the blanks with the correct articles. Then we also saw how to choose the questions which are correct in their grammatical usage. And then we ended the class. One of those questions was pending, which is the one right now flashing on your screen. So the question says that select the best option based on the rules of grammar and usage. The options are: the men of today are most fortunate than their brethren of two generations past. Okay, I'm sorry. I think I taught this question already yesterday. We'll move to the next question. Katamband is an art of making ceilings by fitting small pieces of wood in each other in geometrical patterns. So this is the question, and now I have to see which is the right grammatical usage of this. Number one, Khatamband is the art of making ceilings by fitting small pieces of wood in each other in geometrical patterns. Long sentence, so pay attention. Second, Khatamband is art of making ceilings by fitting small pieces of wood to each other in geometrical patterns. Next, Khatamband is the art of making a ceiling with fitting small pieces of wood into each other through geometrical patterns. Finally, Khatamband is the art of making ceilings by fitting small pieces of wood into each other in geometrical patterns. Now, when you see such questions, okay, first I'll allow you a couple of seconds to think what could be the answer, and then I'll tell you how to solve and what is the right answer and also the right approach. I hope I've given you enough time now. Okay, to remind, if you have any doubts going ahead, please feel free to drop a comment and I'll definitely help you out. I'll definitely reply, so feel free. For now, what I can do is I can discuss the options so that it gets easy for you. So, let's look at the first option. Khatamband is a art of making ceilings by fitting small pieces of wood in each other in geometrical patterns. It could have been is an art, it cannot be anything else. So, one seems to be an answer. So, let's put one in the bucket of right answers, possibly right answers. Next, Khatamband is art of making ceilings by fitting small pieces of wood to each other in geometrical patterns. So you cannot fit pieces of wood to each other. You can fit them into each other or you can fit them in each other. And also, is art is not the right usage. It should have been is an art, is the art, is the art. So, second is definitely eliminated. Third, Katamband is the art of making a ceiling with fitting small pieces of wood into each other through geometrical patterns. This is again wrong because through means by usage of something or via something. But here they are put in geometrical patterns, not through geometrical patterns. Hence, this is also eliminated. You remain with 1 and 4. Let's see how 4 is. Number 4 says that Katamband is the art of making ceilings by fitting small pieces of wood into each other in geometrical patterns. So this is grammatically 100% right. Number 1, because Katamband is the art. So because it's a proper noun, there is just one art Katamband, hence the usage of the is very well justified. Then you have by fitting small pieces of wood into each other. One piece is uh, is fit into the other, okay, and the other is in geometrical patterns. So according to geometrical patterns, so this is right in every structure, in every sense. Hence, 4 is the correct option. Next, again you have to choose the best option. I'll first dictate and then allow you some time to think. The first option: the men of today are most fortunate than their brethren of two generations past. The man of today is more fortunate than their brethren of two generations last. The men of today are more fortunate than their brethren of two generations past. The men of today are fortunate than his brethren of two generations past. This is what? Please think I'm giving you a couple of seconds. The right answer is 3 because when we talk of parallelization, they are very same. If I look at the first part, it talks of men. The men of today are more fortunate than, since it's than and it's more, it's parallel again, than their brethren. So their is again a plural word which goes with men, which is the plural form of man. Hence, this is the right option. Next, my friends rallied, all my friends railed around when I needed them most. So you have to choose what part is right. All my friends is the same. Option number one, which will be followed by all my friends, is railed around when I needed them most, rallied around when I needed them most, railed at when I needed them most, rallied over when I needed them most. So if you know of rallied around, it is an idiom actually. I did not give you time because this is an idiom. I am not sure if most of you would know. There is nothing much to apply over here from what I have taught in my previous presentations, previous slides. Hence, I'll directly come to the answer, which is rallied around. Just like people being around, they were already there when I needed them most. Hence, all my friends rallied around when I needed them most. When it was I was most needy, they were there. They were around me all the time. They came to my aid. They saved me. That is the meaning of rallied around. Hence, second option is the right option. Next. Okay. So now the questions are about identifying correct sentences in terms of grammar and usage. But before that, I think I need to show you something which is in continuation with what we have been reading so far. You will get such kind of questions. Okay. Identify the types of nouns in the following sentences. Now that we have studied noun, so I'll expect you to be able to answer these questions easily. But since I did not teach you types of nouns, I'll teach you later. To start with an example, a dog barked in the distance. Dog is definitely a common noun over here. Barked is a verb, and distance is a concept, so it is also a noun. How did I arrive at this? Will be clear in the further slides. What are the different types of nouns? So, first is concrete. Fundamental is concrete. Concrete nouns are again divided into common noun and proper noun. So, what is a common noun? Common noun is the name of a person, place, or thing which is not specific. So, a dog, a girl, a boy, a table, a chair. These are all common nouns. Then we have proper noun. Proper noun are specific things, places, or people. So, if I say this boy, that table, black dog, it will make it very specific, which is only one in the context or in the world. Then we'll call it a proper noun. For example, the Taj Mahal is a proper noun. That black dog is a proper noun in the context. Okay? Second, countable and uncountable noun. So, for all those common nouns that can be counted, we call them countable, and that cannot be counted numerically, we can call them uncountable. So, water, uncountable noun. Pen, countable noun. Skin, uncountable. Bones, countable. This is how we have countable and uncountable noun as types of noun. Next, the fundamental type we are is abstract nouns. Abstract nouns are something that cannot be touched or felt. But concrete nouns, which are common and proper nouns, can be touched, felt with your five senses. But for abstract noun, they cannot be experienced with the five senses, and they are concepts or ideas. So, health, pardon my mistake, love, marriage, all these you cannot touch health, you cannot see love with your eyes. You can see the characteristics of love or how people behave when in love, but you cannot really see love. Similarly, marriage. It's a concept, it's an institution. Two people are married, but a particular marriage, what is that? Is certainly not possible to see, touch, feel. Next, possessive noun. Possessive noun comes in play when it shows possession of a thing by the another. The one who possesses is said to be a possessive noun. It's usually very simply identifiable and followed by an apostrophe. A lot of nouns that end with S, they are not followed by an apostrophe and an S, but just an apostrophe. So if I speak of Emirates, it will be Emirates apostrophe. But if I say the dog's skin, I'll write dog apostrophe S, skin. Now, next is compound noun. So never be under the impression that nouns are just single words. Noun can very easily be multiple words. So if I say, for example, the white skinned writer or the wheatish skinned writer, these two, the already says it's a specific person, and then it's wheatish or white, and then that particular writer. This entire, all these three words combine to form a noun talking of that particular writer with qualifiers. So this is a compound noun. Next, collective noun. Collective noun is usually a group that is spoken of in a single word. For example, herd of cattle. So herd is a collective noun. It will be taken as a single entity, but it comprises of many identical items. So a fleet of ships. Okay, and other words like a group of men, class of students, in this all, class, a school of fish, school. These are all collective nouns that represent a group. So these are the types of noun, and now we'll move on to another type. No, I'm done with the types of nouns. Now the another set of questions belong to identifying the types of nouns in the sentences. We'll begin with the first example after we studied what exactly are nouns. The businessman owns a large fleet of ships. I'll give you 10 seconds to identify which all are the nouns and what are the types. I think I'm done with 10 seconds. So, here, businessman, the first noun. The businessman. What I'll talk about, businessman over here. So, business. The businessman is a proper noun because it is speaking of the particular businessman who owns a large fleet of ships. Next, fleet of ships. Fleet is a collective noun because it is representing a group of ships. And if I talk of ship individually, ship is a common noun because it can be any ship. I hope it's clear. Let's move on to the next question. At first, Neolithic settlements were hardly more than villages. Take your time. We're done with 10 seconds. Let's begin. The first word is Neolithic. Neolithic is an era, an age in anthropology, in human history, and in the history of civilization. You would have heard that of in social sciences. But anyway, the point is that Neolithic is very specific word, hence it's a proper noun. It's the name of an era. So it is an era, a stage of development. So it is a proper noun. Second is settlements. Now, settlement in itself means settlement is actually a concept. A lot of people settling anywhere makes it a settlement. It can be of any kind, so we cannot really say that it is something that represents a group. So settlement can be called off as an abstract noun because it is a concept. Next, were hardly more than villages. Villages are again proper noun, and had there been a name of the village, it would have been a proper noun. But now it is a common noun. Villages, common noun. Next, contemporary hunter gatherers may help us understand our prehistoric ancestors. The word contemporary means in the current era. Hunter, you know who? Gatherers, you know. So now that I have told you the meaning, please help me figure out the right answer. So my time is done. First word is contemporary. It is talking of an era, of the time. It is a concept, it is an idea. So contemporary is an abstract noun. Hunter is a common noun. Any hunter. Gatherers. Again a common noun. Those who gather fruits, vegetables, etc. in the ancient times. Even today, you won't find them that easily. That is why I had to refer to history to make you understand who gatherers were. May help us understand our prehistoric ancestors. Ancestors, again, a common noun, prehistoric. Prehistoric is something that qualifies my noun, which is ancestors. Many, many managers employ teams to achieve complex goals. Now you have to identify the types of nouns, and your timer begins. Now, many managers. Managers is a common noun. Team, group of people employed for a particular goal, driven towards a particular goal. Hence, it is a collective noun. Goals. Goal is abstract noun because it is an idea, it is a concept. And complex is an adjective because it is qualifying goals. Also, managers is a countable noun because you can always count how many managers. One, two, three, 10, n. Okay. Now, next question. The cattle were herded from one field to the other. Identify the types of nouns in the sentences, and your time starts now. Okay, so the first word is cattle. Cattle is a collective noun. It can also be said as a common noun because it's not specifying what kind of cattle. It could be talking of any domesticated animal. It could be dog. It could be horses. It could be cows. So it's more suiting towards common noun. Next, were herded. Herded is clearly a verb, so this is not. This does not fall under any type of noun. Another is from one field to the other. What is a field? A field is a common noun. It's a place, not any particular field, hence not a proper noun. Next, smoking is injurious to health. Identify the type of nouns in the following sentences, and I'm giving you a couple of seconds for it. So, smoking. Here, smoking is not a verb because it has been used as a noun, as a concept. So, smoking is a proper noun. Sorry, it is an abstract noun. Next is injurious to health. Health is a concept, an idea. The health is again an abstract noun. Okay, let's move to next question. We hardly slept that night in eager anticipation of glimpsing our first rays of sunshine. So again, we have to identify the types of nouns, and I'm giving you question whenever I this question and a couple of seconds to think. Whenever I pause, please understand that I have given you the time to think for the right answer. Okay, so the nouns are be is a pronoun clearly. Slept was clearly a verb. Night. Night is a noun. It's an abstract noun. It's a concept. In eager anticipation of glimpsing our first rays of sunshine. So rays is a collective noun, sunshine is an abstract noun. Next, identify the nouns again. I'll dictate the question and then wait for you to think of the answer. As for the jury, the members whispered to each other for a few minutes and then they appointed the hungry tiger their spokesman. Timer is done and now okay, sorry. And now I'll tell you the answer. Jury is a collective noun because group of judges is what we call as jury. The jury is representing couple of identical people or who are all judges. Hence we call it jury, a collective noun. Members. Members is a common noun. Members are somebody belonging to an organization, but this is very commonly used. It is not referring to a particular member, it's a common noun. Whispered to each other for a few minutes, and then they appointed the hungry tiger their spokesman. The hungry tiger. Tiger is a common noun because it is the name of a breed of animal. The hungry tiger. The hungry tiger now here is a compound noun because it is talking of the tiger which is hungry and that makes it a specific noun, a compound noun. Their spokesman. Spokesman, somebody will speak for them, and hence spokesman here is a common noun because anybody can be a spokesman and there are many spokesmen which are possible, but they chose the one. Next, identify the type of noun in the following sentences for me, please. Please return Ram's umbrella to him. Timer. So, begins with Ram. Ram is a proper noun because here we are speaking of the name of a person. Then we have umbrella. So, umbrella in itself is actually a common noun, but in this sentence, if I talk of Ram's umbrella, it can be called as a proper noun because it is talking about that particular noun, that particular umbrella to him. Him is clearly a pronoun. So, we'll move on to the next question. Fill in the blanks with the appropriate pronouns given in the brackets. Now, this is yet another type of question that has been asked in the competitive examinations for MBA, the MBA entrance exams. Here, you will be given a sentence and you'll have to choose that, and you'll also be given pronouns options, and you'll have to choose among the given options as to which is right and which is not. The first question is Alice opened the door and found that blank led into a small passage. Please think what can be the right answer. Simple, so I'll give you just 5 seconds. So, the right answer is Alice opened the door and found that it led into a small passage. It means the door led into a small passage because the door is an object, so we'll use it instead of this. Next, Tony and Dash are flying to Chennai, and the options are I or me, and you have to choose the appropriate pronoun and your timer. So the right answer is Tony and I are flying to Chennai because this is what we call as parallelization. Tony is another person and I am another person. Me is when it is relevant to some action that is happening to you. Something that is, for example, he gave me the ball, she hurt me. So it's not coming from another object. It's just specifying you as an individual entity and Tony as an individual. Tony is not acting on you, but you two are flying to Chennai together. So it will be Tony and I are flying to Chennai. So whenever you have to use a pronoun for yourself, in cases where it is just like a name, you'll use I. So it is suppose my name is Shalini and you would have had to write Tony and Shalini are flying to Chennai. You'll write Tony and I are flying to Chennai. Okay? Next. There isn't much difference between you and blank. Fill in the blanks and I'm giving you a couple of seconds to think. Choose between she and her. Okay. So the right answer is there isn't much difference between you and her. This is because, again, if it would have been she, there isn't much difference between you and she. But then she would have been somebody who is the doer of an action. Okay, so she took it, she went to the market, she plays well, she is the one. It's not so right. It's just about using it as a pointer. So it's like there isn't much difference between Radha and Geeta. So whenever it is used for another person in sense of just name, then you'll use you and her. Her, okay? For the third person, it's her. For the second person, it's you. For the first person, it's I. Next, again, identify the right pronoun. And the question is those books on the table are blank. I gave you time to think. I'm not lost. Right answer is those books on the table are hers. This is because S denotes ownership. Had it been only her, it would have been wrong. If you use her, you'll be writing those books on the table are her. It in a way means कि वो जो किताबें हैं टेबल पे वो ये है बट नहीं वो उसके हैं इसीलिए it's hers shows ownership possession hence the books on the table are hers is the right answer. She loves blank so much that she doesn't have a thought to spare for blank else. I give you time to think. There are two. So the first set is for the first blank, and for the second blank, you have to choose from the second couplet. The right answer will be she loves herself so much that she does not have a thought to spare for anyone else. I'll tell you the reason. She loves herself, खुद को. इसीलिए it's herself so much. वो खुद को इतना प्यार करती है कि she doesn't have a thought to spare for anyone else. तो उनके पास किसी और को देने को बिल्कुल टाइम नहीं है. So since it's anyone else, it's because barring her, nobody, nobody. It's in slightly negative context. Hence, anyone else is the appropriate answer. I hope this is clear to you. Herself and anyone. कोई भी कोई भी और नहीं. इसीलिए it's anyone else. Again, fill with the right pronoun. I met my friend blank had just returned from a holiday abroad. Who or whom? What do you think is the right answer? Please let me know. And the time is over for this particular question. And the right answer is I met my friend who had just returned from a holiday abroad. So it means I met my friend who, not whom. Whom मतलब जिसको, उसको. Who मतलब जो. तो मैं अपने उस दोस्त से मिला जो अब्रॉड से छुट्टियों के बाद आया है. सो इट विल बी आई मेट माई फ्रेंड हु हैड जस्ट रिटर्न फ्रॉम अ हॉलिडे अब्रॉड. हुम नहीं होगा क्योंकि हुम का मतलब होता है जिसको, which is not right in this particular context. So this is the end of the type of questions that are based on pronoun. So now that I have told you the types of noun, types of pronoun, questions that come from types of noun and types of pronoun, and also I've made you practice a couple of questions. I hope you will be able to do well in these questions at least. And now I'll take you to another set of questions. In the another set of questions, what you have to do is this. In each of the questions, five sentences or parts that form a para are given. First, you have to identify those sentences that are correct in terms of grammar and usage, and then choose the most appropriate option. Okay, so let's begin with this question. Okay, let me look for a simple question for you. This. So, there are A, B, C, D, five options. Now you have to identify the sentence that are incorrect. Okay, and then choose that which are the couple of sentences which are wrong. Which option has all, which particular option has actually all the incorrect options in the answers. That will be the right answer. Accept, belief, option A. Accept, belief, rejection can all lead us astray. Perhaps surest road to understanding is the way of experience that begins by seeing each story like an event that has actually happened. This does not mean we accept it without question. Now, here we'll look at the options first. Let's look at B and C. Perhaps accept, belief, rejection can all lead us astray. This is right, so we remain with B and C, C, D, and E. Perhaps surest route to understanding is the way of experience that begins by seeing each story like an event that has actually happened. D is again correct. Now, if D is correct, I'm sure that 2, 3, and 4 are not the right answers. So we remain with option number 1, which is B and C. B and C definitely are incorrect because perhaps surest route to understanding is the. The is wrong usage over here. Way of experience that begins by seeing each story. These two sentences are the wrong sentences, and answer 1 is wrong, is the right answer. Here is another question. We have five sentences that will form a paragraph, and we have to identify those that are incorrect in terms of grammar or usage. In June 23rd, 2005, a group of high ranking government officials. So far, to me, A seems wrong, guys, because, okay, I did not give you time. Sorry. Take a couple of seconds, please. Done. So, the first option in June 23rd, 2005, a group of high ranking government officials. In is wrong. Whenever it's a date, it will always be on June 23rd. So, A is definitely wrong. So, if I look at my options given in the for answer, 1, 3, or 4 are the probable options. 2 is eliminated clearly. Straight away elimination. Next, were convened in a ballroom of the Four Seasons Hotel. Absolutely right. B is right. So option 4 is also eliminated. So we remain with 1 and 3. Let's check another sentence. Washington DC to respond a simulated crisis in the global oil. Correctly wrong. It should have been to respond to a simulated crisis. You respond to something, you do not just respond. C is also wrong. So that leaves us with only one correct option, which is number 1. A and C is the couplet, which is wrong. Let's look at E before we leave. Organized by public interest groups concerned with energy policy and national security. E is correct. D is also correct. The event was called Oil Shock Wave, and it was correct again. Now, we'll move to another question. I'll dictate and wait for you. I think it's flashing on the screen, so I'll wait for you to understand and then I'll explain. Should I dictate the options? Okay, wait. The US has experienced an increase of survival rates for these cancers largely because of prevention and early detect. When you consider in India, the majority of our cancers are preventable and can be detected early. Sure, this is where our efforts must be focused if we are to save life. Okay? Now, I'll tell you the options one by one. The US has experienced an increase of survival rates. Clearly wrong. Increase in survival rates. There is increase in, decrease in. Never off. A is wrong. For these cancers, largely because of prevention and early detect. Prevention and early detection, because detect is a verb, prevention is a noun, and parallelly it should have been detection. And conjunctions are used with right parallelization. So it should have been prevention and early detection. So B is again wrong. Next, when you consider in India, the majority of our cancers are preventable. It's not in India. When you consider India, India is the case. In India is not the case. So C is wrong. Next comes C. Okay. Next comes D. And can be detected early. Sure, this is where our efforts must. No, it should be definitely this is where our efforts must be focused if we are to save life. So in my context, if I take all the statements into one, our efforts must be focused if we are to save lives. It should not be to save life. We have to save lives. It's talking about cancers. It's talking about survival rates. It's talking about people at large. So A, B, C, D, and even E. So all the sentences, that is option 3, is the correct answer. Okay. So, guys, we are on the last question for today. And here too, you have to identify which is the right option. The right option comprises of the wrong statements, all the wrong statements in the para. To dictate, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley's fourth union budget. was an underwhelmed one in the context of economics slowdown. It held line. Fiscal discipline was not thrown in the winds, but it is unlikely to meaningful boost economic momentum. I give you a couple of seconds. So here we'll go with elimination again. Okay? And how do we go about elimination? Let us look at the options first. Number one, B and E. Read about B. Read B. Was an underwhelmed one in context. Yes, it is wrong. So if B is wrong, 1 and 3 are the possible options. A is definitely right. So 2 and 4 are eliminated. Out of 1 and 3, let's check E first. In the winds, but it is unlikely to meaningful boost economic momentum. Definitely wrong. It should happen, but it is unlikely to meaningfully boost economic momentum. Hence, E is also wrong. So 1 and 3 still are the equally likely options. Let's check C then. C is correct of economic slowdown. So you don't even need to check D because C is correct. So the set 3 is wrong choice. Right choice will be B and E, that is option 1. This is how I approach questions. I teach students to approach questions because in exam you are already so baffled, you are already so occupied mentally, and you have already used so much resources that it's not very easy, and it is also time consuming to sit, read through each option, then look what are the options given in answer, then try to understand the sentences, apply grammar, and choose. And especially in such questions specifically, it is difficult because first you have to find the coherence and then the answers. So the best idea is reverse engineering. Read through the options, then go to the options given in the answer, the 4 MCQ that you have to mark. You have to choose between 1, 2, 3, 4. Choose one and start telling which is right, which is wrong. Even if in one set a particular option turns out to be a right sentence, eliminate it. Look for sets and subsets. For example, here B and E, number 1, and number 3, B, C, D, and E. One was a subset of 3. So when I saw that one is right, I set it in the right bucket. And then I saw out of C and D, if I pick even one and I get to know that one, no, I'll have to check for both actually. But even one is found right, that is again eliminated. So I'm easily left with one, but do not forget to cross check with the answer that you arrive with. Because in the process of elimination, do not become overconfident. Always recheck the final option that you have chosen so that you do not commit any mistake. It might so happen that later on you find out that what you chose was actually not right, or another very close option was a better choice or the right choice. So, guys, this was the last question for today's class. In tomorrow's class, we'll continue with these kind of questions because I know these are slightly complicated. More than teaching you grammar, I'll teach you the approach. But grammar is definitely the foundation of all these questions. These questions are important because they'll take a couple of minutes of yours. I hope they don't. And to gain speed, you need to practice them a lot. So we'll do that in our next couple of sessions. To revise, we first learned what were the type of nouns. In concrete noun, we had common noun and proper noun. In abstract noun, we have ideas and concepts. Then we have countable and uncountable noun as a pair. And then we also had compound noun, wherein a couple of words form a noun, specify a thing. That is what we call as noun. So hence, these are the types of nouns. And then we followed it with questions where we identified the types of noun. We also identified the types of the right pronouns in each sentence. And then finally, we came to these type of questions, which is currently on your screen. That is identifying the set of options which are grammatically wrong. So this was about today's session. In next session, we'll continue with this. Until then, all the best. And you have any doubts, please feel free to reach out through comment section. Thank you. Bye. Good night.